Hey everybody, Anthony Chatfield here with How to Become a Freelancer in 30 Days. Today is going to be real quick. I just want to talk about something that I do get a lot of questions about, but fortunately the internet has made relatively easy on us, and that's how to do invoices, contracts, and forms. Alright, so all the fun stuff you don't really want to think about, but that you gotta deal with, the earlier you do it, the easier you make your life. Alright, so the goals for today is to familiarize yourself with some of the common legal and financial dealings that you're going to have. How to create the forms you're going to specifically need for your business, and then how to handle these at tricky situations. Before we dive into anything, just remember I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer. If you're going to do this, even semi-professionally, make sure you contact one of each and ask them, how to do these things, whether it's incorporating or forming an LLC, or how to do your taxes, or how it's going to affect, your current tax situation. I'm giving you anecdotal advice from my own background, and just some tips on things you need to look out for. And a secondary, item there, I'm in the United States. So if you're not in the United States, some of this may not apply to you the same. But I think it's important, and I get a lot of questions about it, so I'm going to cover it anyways. And just, make sure you leave questions and don't take my word as gospel. All right? So why this stuff matters. You want to create processes early. That's the important part. That'll make your life easier. If you do this stuff now, it's so much easier to handle things later, especially when it comes time to do your taxes, if you've already taken care of all this. You also want to protect yourself legally to some degree, and I'll talk about that in a second. It makes you look more professional. If you're sending an invoice with a logo on it and it's not in a Word document, people respect that. And then it helps you have clear outlines to streamline projects and edits, so that's going to be important as well. All right, so forms you're going to need. These are the 5 basic things that I found I needed pretty much every week for every project. It might vary for you. Some of these you may not need generally. Some you might need more of. It really depends on the size of the projects and who you're working with. Keep in mind, too, if you're on like Elance, you don't really need any documents. They're all built into the Elance agreement that you agree to when you approve a project. Some clients will ask for more documentation, whether it's a copyright release or an NDA. Elance has those documents. You just use their document. I would just recommend using it because you're already on that platform. You've already agreed to all their terms. You might as well sign their documents. It's rare that they ask you to do more. If they do, run it by a lawyer real quick. But some stuff you'll need if you're taking projects off of Elance, and this is one of the many reasons why you might consider going on Elance, even despite the fee, is just because you don't have to worry about all this stuff. A general contract. So it's usually a 3 to 4 page document just covering basic stuff, indemnification, and who owns the rights when you're done, and what the payment terms are going to be. A non-disclosure agreement. I'd say 20% of my clients would ask for this. It's not super common, but common enough that I had my own document in case they didn't have one. If somebody is just starting a business, or is an entrepreneur, or they work for a larger company and they don't want to admit that they're using freelancers, these are situations in which you might have to sign an NDA. I know it sounds really big and important, and only Microsoft or somebody would make you do this. And ironically, Microsoft did not make me do this. So it's usually smaller companies and entrepreneurs just getting started, and they're just trying to protect intellectual property. So I was never said no unless the terms were really strange or had a non-compete in it. I would never recommend signing a non-compete as part of a non-disclosure unless whoever you're working for is promising you some ridiculous amount of work. Scope of project agreement. This is usually an attachment to the contract, and it just outlines what you're going to be doing and over what period of time. And then payment agreements, again, an attachment to the general contract, and let's talk about when you're going to get paid and how you're going to get paid. Again, general contract, scope of project, payment agreements, all of that's built into Elance. You don't have to worry about it. I'm not shilling Elance, I promise. I'm just, if you want to make this as easy as possible, that's how you do it. And finally, invoice forms. If you're going to do invoicing independently and not pay for anything, you'll want a form that you can use for that. Now, how to get all those forms for free? You could pay a lawyer to draft all these up. You could also go pay for them off of a basic form website and then customize them. Or you could use a site like Rocket Lawyer. They have a 7-day free trial. You can create whatever you want in that free trial. They help you customize the form based on the state you live in and the situation that you're using them for. It's probably still good to run these by a lawyer, but at this point they're pretty close. So it's really up to you in terms of how you want to do it. But that's how I got my basic forms. I ended up paying for a membership for them anyways because I needed additional forms when I formed my LLC. But when you're just getting started, this is a great way just to get some stuff out of the gate. And some clients will provide their own, so I'm always okay. I was always okay with that, but I always made sure to read it very carefully to make sure they didn't have some crazy terms in there, like, I could never use it as a sample, or I'm signing away copyright to anything I write related to this project, or whatever it was, or I agree to do unlimited edits for 3 years. I actually saw that in a contract once, and I had asked them to edit that to 3 months. These are some, just keep an eye on it. People aren't always looking out for your best interests. You just want to cover your bases real quick. So when it comes to what to look for in a client form, and again, I'm going to keep saying this, but I'm not an accountant and I'm not a lawyer, so make sure you talk to one before you utilize any of these things. But the stuff you want to look into is payment terms, copyright ownership, and cancellation requirements. These are the types of things that clients will sometimes tweak on you or might have special terms in them. You don't want them to sneak something in there that's going to hurt you long term. So take a close look at it. If you're not sure about anything, always run it by a lawyer. I've never had anybody try to sneak anything on me that I didn't think was fair. I've had some goofy cancellation requirements where the client could cancel and I couldn't. Make sure that's an equal share so that, if they're able to cancel with 30 days notice, so are you. But generally speaking, this is not often an issue. The larger the company, though, the more carefully you should look. In terms of invoicing, you got 3 good options. You can use PayPal Invoices, which are free, and people can pay directly to PayPal for you. You can use a Word or Excel invoice if you have that software, also free, and they look decently professional these days with the templates. Or you can use a software tool called FreshBooks, which is online. I used this for many years, actually, like 7 years, freelancing plus my agency. I liked it a lot because it keeps all the information in there. You can record expenses, you can run tax documents, profit and loss reports, you can see data in terms of when people have paid you and how much. It's a really good tool. I really liked it. It does cost money though, so that's something you want to keep in mind. If you have a lot of clients, it starts to become an issue. You might want something more powerful. To get started, I would use PayPal. It's a lot easier. All right, so for today's actions, what I want you to do is make a list of all the forms you're going to need. Sign up for Rocket Lawyer and pull all those forms so you can get those for free with your trial. Remember, again, you only have a week. Decide how you're going to want to invoice your clients, and then consider the next steps in legal protection, whether it's forming an LLC or a corporation. These are, again, things you want to talk to a lawyer or an accountant about. All right, so that's everything for today. Make sure you leave any questions or comments below. If you have not yet, please leave a review for this program. I really appreciate your feedback, and looking forward to talking again to you tomorrow.